Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yes.
Today we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.
And that's medical couriers,
Really?
specifically in Boston.
Interesting.
And we're going to be using this article from Investor
Okay.
about a company called Bocsit to kind of guide our conversation.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think it's something that we all kind of take for granted that, you know, when we go to the doctor and we need a blood test or a biopsy or even medicine or something, we don't really think about the process of how that stuff gets where it needs to go.
Exactly. And that's kind of the mission, I guess, of this deep dive is to really unpack all of that.
Yeah, and see, you know, and really understand the importance of these services because without them, our healthcare system would completely fall apart. It's really the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah. And so maybe we can just start with the most obvious question.
Sure.
And that is like, why speed matters so much in this field?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, we're not talking about,
you
know, just packages here, right? These are things that are literally, you know, life or death, or at least incredibly important to someone's health or to the progress of research or something like that. So for example, you know, you have a cancer patient who's waiting for biopsy results. Every hour of delay is just agoizing, right? And it could even impact, you know, treatment decisions and stuff.
Yeah, and the article talks about this really interesting example of a courier for Bocsit at Mass General. And they were involved in this situation where there was this cardiac surgery going on. And there was a stat blood sample that needed to be analyzed like immediately. And this courier was able to, like, they had GPS tracking and a direct line to the hospital.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
And they delivered that sample in under 20 minutes.
That's incredible.
Which is pretty wild considering Boston traffic.
I know. I was just thinking that. It's like Boston is notorious for traffic, and then you add in the weather on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
Which can be completely unpredictable.
Like, how are they doing this?
It's amazing. Well, they've kind of mastered the art of navigating these obstacles. So they use real-time traffic data. They have these super meticulously planned routes, and they even have, like, customized vehicles for different conditions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like, the article even mentions couriers who are using, like, back routes through Cambridge to avoid the traffic on Memorial Drive.
Wow, that's thinking on your feet.
They have to be quick on their feet, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about driving skill either, right? I mean, you have to know how to handle these sensitive materials, protocols, to make sure that the things that they're delivering actually arrive in the condition that they need to be in. So, you know, there's special training, there's specialized equipment, temperature-controlled containers, procedures for handling different types of specimens. It's a whole science to it.
It's a whole other thing.
It is.
And speaking of science, the article brings up a really interesting point about research. And how this is vital for research as well. They mentioned this example of a biotech firm in Cambridge. That was relying on Bocsit to transport these genetic samples that were very temperature sensitive during a clinical trial. And, you know, if there was any delay or damage to those samples, it could have completely jeopardized the entire trial.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's not just about, you know, getting something from point A to point B. It's about making sure that it arrives in perfect condition. So that, you know, the research can continue, patient care can continue, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And that's what's really fascinating to me. It's like they're using all this cutting edge technology to really elevate this work.
They're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So they mentioned AI-powered dispatch systems. What does that actually look like in practice?
So basically, it's a system that's constantly analyzing all these different factors, traffic patterns, weather conditions, even hospital wait times.
Oh, wow.
To determine the most efficient route.
So they're like predicting the future, almost.
It's almost like having like this super intelligent traffic controller. Guiding each courier through the city.
That's incredible. It seems like Bocsit is really like ahead of the curve.
They really are. They're really setting the standard, I think. For what's possible. And, you know, another thing that I think is really interesting is their focus on sustainability.
Oh, that's great.
You know, a lot of courier companies are starting to transition to electric vehicles using eco-friendly packaging.
Right.
Some are even exploring the use of cargo bikes for shorter distances in traffic-heavy areas.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and it aligns perfectly, with Boston's own commitment to sustainability.
Right.
So it's kind of a win-win situation.
Yeah.
It's good for the environment.
Absolutely.
And it's also good for the company's image.
Now, the article briefly mentioned drone deliveries.
Oh, right.
Is that something that we might actually see in Boston soon?
Well, I mean, it's still early stages, right? There are definitely some regulatory hurdles, but the potential is undeniable.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine being able to bypass traffic completely, deliver critical medical supplies to remote areas or hospitals with limited access, all while saving valuable time.
Yeah, that would be revolutionary.
That would be a game changer, especially in emergency situations.
Absolutely.
Where every second counts.
Okay, so it sounds like it's still kind of a little ways off.
Yeah.
But definitely something that's on the horizon.
It's definitely something to watch.
Yeah. Well, this is all incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it would be helpful to kind of bring it back down to the everyday person in Boston.
Sure.
Like, why should they care about medical couriers?
Well, think about it this way, right?
Okay.
When you go to the doctor and you need a test, you want those results back quickly.
Right.
And accurately, right?
Absolutely.
And if you need medication, you need that medication to arrive safely and on time.
Yeah.
And all of that relies on this seamless chain of events. And medical couriers like Bocsit, they're the link in that chain.
Yeah, they're like the unsung heroes.
They really are.
Of the healthcare system.
And I think what's impressive about Bocsit is that they're not just keeping up with the demands of a city like Boston, but they're actively pushing the boundaries with technology and sustainability.
Absolutely.
It really speaks to their dedication to the city and its people.
Well, I think it would be really interesting to dive into some more specific stories that really highlight Bocsit's impact.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
So why don't we take a quick break,
all right,
and then we'll come back
Sounds good.
And explore those real-world scenarios.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm really excited to dive into some of these real-world stories that really showcase the impact that companies like Bocsit are having.
Yeah, I mean, the article did a great job, I thought, of highlighting some of those moments where Bocsit's services really went above and beyond, and really made a difference.
Okay, so there's one example in particular that stood out to me.
Oh, yeah.
And this involved a research facility in Cambridge.
Okay.
And they were in the middle of this high-stakes clinical trial.
Right.
What was Bocsit's role in this?
So they were responsible for transporting these frozen genetic samples between this lab and a partner research facility.
Okay.
And these samples were extremely sensitive.
Oh, wow.
They required very precise temperature control during transport.
Right.
And any delay or damage could have, completely derailed the trial.
Wow. So it sounds like a very delicate.
Yeah. Very high pressure.
High pressure operation.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did Bocsit handle that responsibility?
Well, they basically provided round-the-clock availability, and they used these vehicles that had these advanced temperature control systems.
Wow.
And they were able to, successfully transport these samples.
Wow.
And the clinical trial was able to proceed without any issues.
That's amazing. I mean, it just shows you how important these services are.
Yeah, it's not just about patient care, right? It's also about supporting the advancements in science and research.
Exactly.
Which ultimately, benefits everyone.
Right.
In the long run.
Okay, so we've talked about research. Let's talk about some examples that involve patient care.
Sure.
The article also mentioned a situation at Mass General.
Oh, right.
What happened there?
So this was during a cardiac surgery.
Okay.
And a stat blood sample needed to be rushed to a specialized lab for immediate analysis.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the pressure on that courier knowing.
Oh, it must be intense.
You're transporting something so vital.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the article talked about how this particular courier was able to navigate Boston streets, with incredible efficiency.
Right.
They used real-time GPS tracking, and they had this direct line of communication with the hospital. Right. And they were able to deliver that sample in under 20 minutes.
That's incredible.
Yeah, especially considering, Boston traffic and weather.
Like, how do they do it? Well, I think it's a combination of things, right? They have this system that's constantly analyzing traffic patterns, weather forecasts, potential road closures.
Wow, so they're always kind of
they're always
getting ahead. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then you combine that with the expertise of the couriers themselves who know, the back roads, the shortcuts.
The ins and outs of the city.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
Yeah, it really is a well-oiled machine.
Do you think this kind of focus on adaptability and using cutting-edge technology, is that unique to Bocsit?
Well, I can't speak for every company, but I think it's safe to say that in a city like Boston that's as dynamic as Boston, companies like Bocsit are definitely leading the way.
Yeah, setting the bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to see how they're not just meeting the demands, but they're really like...
Yeah, they're anticipating the future challenge, and finding solutions before they even become problems.
Yeah, and we've talked about AI-powered dispatch systems. We've talked about drone deliveries.
Yeah.
What other advancements are kind of on the horizon?
Well, one area that's really gaining traction is blockchain technology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so imagine a system where the entire journey of a sample from pickup to delivery is tracked and documented.
On this tamper-proof digital ledger.
Wow. So it's like...
Yeah, so it's complete transparency.
Completely transparent and accountable.
Exactly. And it really enhances trust and efficiency.
So that would completely revolutionize.
Yeah. I mean, it could revolutionize.
A sensitive medical information is handled and transported.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's incredible. Okay, so beyond technology, what other factors do you think are going to shape the future?
Well, I think collaboration is going to be key. As the healthcare landscape becomes even more complex, it's going to be really important for courier companies, hospitals, research institutions, even government agencies to work together.
Okay, so it's really about...
Yeah, it's about moving away from
those silos.
Yeah, from a siloed approach.
And really creating a
more holistic approach.
A more integrated.
Yeah, where everyone's working together. Exactly, because ultimately, when everyone's on the same page, everyone benefits.
Right, and especially...
Yeah, especially the patients.
The patients and the researchers.
Yeah, well said.
Okay.
So it's clear that medical couriers are more than just delivery services.
Yeah, they're really integral to the healthcare system as a whole.
Yeah. But I think it'd be really fascinating to kind of shift our focus now to the human side of this, to the couriers themselves.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, so why don't we take a quick break?
Sounds good.
And then we'll come back
and
delve into their experiences.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so we're back. And now I want to talk about the people who are actually doing this work.
Yeah.
The medical couriers themselves.
Right.
Their dedication and expertise often go unnoticed.
Yeah, it's easy to kind of forget about them because they're behind the scenes.
Right.
But they're really the ones who are making this whole system work.
The article really emphasized how many skills you need
to
be a successful medical courier.
Absolutely.
Especially in a city like Boston.
It's not just about driving.
Right.
It's about problem solving.
Right.
Critical thinking, understanding the importance of the cargo.
Yeah. And like you said before, they have to handle these sensitive materials.
Exactly.
Maintain these protocols.
They have to be adaptable.
Yeah.
Things change at a moment's notice.
Yeah. And they're entrusted with these specimens that could be the key to someone's diagnosis or research samples that could lead to breakthroughs in medicine.
Yeah, and even life-saving medications that need to get to people as quickly as possible.
So it's really a huge responsibility.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Did the article talk to any of the couriers?
Oh, yeah. They interviewed a few.
Okay.
And they talked about, their daily routines, the challenges they face.
Okay.
One courier said that he doesn't even see himself as just a driver.
Oh, wow.
He sees himself as a problem solver.
Okay.
A navigator. Sometimes even like a confidant.
Oh, wow.
To the people he interacts with.
That's amazing. I mean, it's really like a human connection.
It is. Yeah. They're not just delivering packages. They're delivering hope.
Yeah.
Effort, answers, peace of mind.
Yeah. And another courier talked about the satisfaction that she gets. Yeah. Knowing that she's playing this small but vital role.
Absolutely.
In the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And she talked about this time when she delivered a package to a young patient who was waiting for this new treatment.
Yeah.
And she saw the relief on this patient's face.
Right.
And it just made her realize the impact of her work.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah. So it's real.
It's not just a job.
More than just a job.
It's a calling almost.
You know.
Yeah. But of course,
there are challenges.
Oh, yeah, of course. The article talked about that too, you know, the long hours, the traffic, the pressure to meet deadlines.
Right. Like, how do you
It's a lot.
Positive.
Well, I think for a lot of these couriers, they kind of thrive on that challenge.
Okay.
You know, they take pride in their ability to navigate these difficult situations.
Yeah. It really speaks to their
resilience.
Dedication and resilience. Yeah. I mean, imagine a world without
I know, it's hard to even imagine.
Medical couriers.
Right.
Like hospitals and labs would just...
Yeah, everything would just stop.
Completely stop.
Yeah.
Research would be delayed.
Patients would suffer.
It's really kind of scary to think about.
It is.
Yeah, they're really...
Yeah, the unsung heroes.
Yeah, the unsung heroes that are keeping the system running.
Absolutely.
Well, I think this has been a really fascinating deep dive.
I agree.
We've talked about the importance of speed, the challenges in Boston.
The impact on patients and research.
Yeah.
The technology.
Yeah. And most importantly,
the
people.
The people who are doing the work.
Yeah, the people behind the wheel.
Absolutely.
So I think it's safe to say that medical couriers are more than just...
They're essential delivery service.
Yeah, they're a vital part of the healthcare system.
Well, I want to thank you for...
Thank you for having me.
Joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
And I want to encourage all of our listeners to maybe take a moment and think about the medical couriers in their own lives.
Yeah. And maybe even just say thank you.
Yeah, a simple thank you goes a long way.
It really does.
All right, that's all for this week's deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for listening,